excited to be here to show off Diddy Kong Racing 90%. Last year, for Midwinter Speed Sprinter, we got to play Hundo and ATR, so I'm excited to show 90%. These are the three main categories in the game, so we've gotten to show all of them here at Midwest Speed Fest. So I am ready to go when you guys are. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go! All right. So any percent is a really, really interesting run. We skip a lot of the content in the game, but there's a huge downside to any percent, and that's that we are kind of plagued with it being almost entirely determined by luck. There's a lot of skill and a lot of technique involved with getting a good time here, but there's a lot of luck involved as well. So for marathons, that's not a very good thing. So we'll be using a safer route today that will ensure that we get it. And the bright side of that is that if we do get the very low percent chance thing that we're looking for, we can abandon that route altogether and just do the super fast optimal one. So hello, Taj. Welcome. There's 3 things we want to accomplish in 90%. One of them being beat the game. So we got to beat WizPig 2 in Future Funland. We need to beat WizPig 1, and we need to get 4 trophies. And those are basically the requirements for finishing the game. So we have a couple really cool glitches that we use to do those things quickly and early on. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn into plane. And we need to collect these overworld golden balloons. So the golden balloons are going to unlock sections of the game for us. There's 4 of them in the overworld. Okay, and then we're going to do our first official trick. We're going to need to get out of bounds. I'm going to go outside of the map here. Easy peasy. That's actually a lot harder than it looks. It's a very, very specific angle. And it lets us fly directly into WizPig's head, so we can beat WizPig right away. So not even 2 minutes in, and we're already fighting the final boss. Hope you guys liked 90%. WizPig is a famously difficult fight for the casual player. It's not too bad for speedrunners, but there is a lot that can go wrong here. Ooh, and we got the yellow boost. Sometimes that means that WizPig will bump into us and give us a little speed boost, so a little love tap. Diddy Kong Racing is a notoriously laggy game. This is a wonderful showcase for how much lag there is. And that can work in our favor and against us. Look at that. That was all right. That's pretty unusual. That doesn't usually happen. But that was thanks to the lag. Sometimes the lag can help extend your boosts that we get from those zippers on the ground, and sometimes it can completely obliterate it. So in that case, we got pretty lucky. So far, so good. So once I finish this race, there's a very long credit sequence, and we don't want to do those long credit sequences because it's not really considered gameplay. So we actually just reset the console. And the reset here is actually pretty deceiving. All the other bosses in the game, once you see first place appear on the screen, you can go ahead and hit the reset button. But in this case, we actually have to wait a sec. WizPig is going to go, ah, and he's going to lose, and that's when we get to reset. Just like that. So that's the cutscene starting. Once the cutscene starts, it's saved our progress, and we're good to go ahead and reset. And that's actually the only reset in the run. 100% we do reset all the time, but luckily for any percent, we don't have to go through the whole menu process. So. And now the real run starts. So we have one last overworld balloon here to grab right before we go into the first world, Dino Domain. And there's some more prerequisites to doing the other 2 things in this one that we need to do. So all we have left to do right now is get all of those, get all our trophies. The first one we're going to get is Dino Domain. And to do that, we need to play every single balloon race, beat the boss, and every single silver coins race, and then beat the boss again, which is a lot of stuff to do. And that's the case with every world in the game. You need to do all those things for all of them. It takes a long time to do those things, but luckily we have a way around doing those things. We only need to complete Dino Domain in this run, and in fact, like quite literally 80% of this speedrun is just the Dino Domain tracks. Okay. All right, so we got a cutscene skip there. So if you pause on the last frame of all of the races, on your first occasion of beating them, you can actually just return to the lobby like I just did, and it will automatically award you the golden balloon. Use it, please. Thank you. All right. So while we do some of these normal tracks, we can talk a little bit about some of the mechanics in this game. Bananas are very important. Bananas will increase your top speed and your acceleration. Ooh, we got the Blake Bates. Let's go. Oh, we missed the last one, though. Okay. Good. Up to 10 bananas will increase your top speed and your acceleration. And anything after that doesn't count. So we want to try to get to 10 bananas, or as close as we can to 10 bananas, as soon as possible. And that helps dictate a lot of the routing for some of these tracks. There are some of these, like I'm going to go around the lake here. You can actually just go through the lake if you really want to. But I want those extra bananas so that we can make our subsequent laps much faster. So this is one of my favorite tricks in the game. That is called Canyonless. Might sound familiar. Mario 64's Canyonless inspired the naming, but it's actually a relatively simple looking trick. Oh, we're going swimming today, ladies and gentlemen. Not necessarily the season for it, but hey. I'd rather go swimming there than in the first Whiz Big Race, because that's actually way worse. All right, I got the blue balloon. Now we can do that. Wow. And it's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Okay, we go up here. And we shoot Diddy, because I'm pretty sure he's the one that put that oil slick there. Okay. And we go right through the blue balloons. This has been a beautiful Fossil Canyon. Now the cutscene skip. Cutscene skips are a blessing and a curse. They save a lot of time in any percent and in 100%. In 100%, you have to do 40 of them, 40 frame perfect tricks over the course of the run, and missing any of them costs you 6 seconds apiece. So that's, you know, like 4 minutes over the course of the entire run. So cutscene skips are very, very important. In any percent, we only need to do 8 of them, generally speaking, if you're doing the optimal route. But there's a huge, huge downside to that, and that is that if you miss a single one of those 8 cutscene skips, you automatically lose 20 seconds, which at very high level play in Diddy Kong Racing is really a bummer. There's not much we can do about it. If you miss it, you just kind of have to deal with it and be sad that you're losing all that time. But if you get all of them, then you are, congrats, you are playing as optimally as possible. First try. Good stuff. First boss run, actually not our first boss run, we raced Whiz Big already, but Tricky the Triceratops has a really annoying trick, and this is our first instance of extremely frustrating RNG in any percent. There is a zone behind the finish line that will basically tell the game that you are much further in the race than you're supposed to be. And if we get lucky enough, we will hit that zone correctly, and it will think that we're going the wrong way. We did not get it. Okay. So the bright side is we can just kind of keep trying this until it works. There we go. Second try, that's good RNG. So we take those for sure. Oops, we did it. So that's tricky to Triceratops. It's a little bit more interesting than just driving up the spiral mountain to actually beat him. But there are times, like if you are racing 100% or something, you know, it's either first try or it's third try or it's 8th try or 9th try, and you just keep on going until it finally gives it to you. So that is a little frustrating.
I've got something special for you.
Taj has something special for us. Thank you. Bye. All right, and then we go back into Ancient Lake. It's time to do all the silver coins races. So in order to beat the silver coins race, I need to collect all 8 silver coins on the track. Oh, we got the Blake Bates and I messed it up. Oh well. Got to get all 8 silver coins, and you have to get first place. And we still missed that one. Alrighty. There's silver coins are really interesting. Honestly, like everyone who plays this game has a different strategy for the silver coins races. Some of them are very similar, some of them are identical. There's some tracks where the coins are in very interesting spots, and that causes us to find all kinds of different routes to take the track in to figure out what's fastest. Do you want a faster first lap, like we're gonna do here? So my focus in this first lap is going to be to get bananas, not get coins, because I want to get the coins as fast as I can on the second lap. And now we start getting the coins. There we go. And now we can do the third lap normally. But since all the coins are in different places on every track, there's so much variability in what you can do and what order you want to do it in. Nope, alrighty. So, we got 5 cutscene skips and then we missed one, and now we have to watch this entire cutscene. And while it is a lovely cutscene, it's one of my favorite in the game, where Taj flies down and hands you the balloon. We don't like seeing it because it means we're going slow. Thanks, buddy. That's for me. Okay, 2 more to go. This is actually one of my favorite coin races. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. I prefer to get every coin on the first lap, but there are some people that prefer to do it, all of it on the second lap, or most of it on the second lap, or half of them on the second lap. So whatever you're comfortable with. I like to try and do as many as I can, as early on as I can, so that I have 2 more laps to get whatever coins I may have missed because of whatever wonky gameplay mishaps. So every vehicle in this game has different mechanics. In the car, unlike other racing games where we just hold down A to accelerate, tapping the A button is actually faster. So you can see while I tap the A button as I drive, the speedometer will actually kind of jump back and forth, up and down very slightly. Though it's hard to catch a moment to actually see it because we're going so fast. Okay. And our last race. This is a really good example, too, of how interesting silver coins can be in this game. We have to do this whole first lap here in bounds. I didn't even talk about the fact that we do this entire track out of bounds. It's one of the easier out of bounds tricks to learn in the game. But we have to spend this first lap getting all of our coins. Oh, that was almost scary. So instead of going out of bounds right away, I like to grab extra bananas here. Some people prefer to go out of bounds immediately. And I need my mini-map back, thank you. Most of the time when I'm out of bounds like this, I'll just be staring at the mini-map and my little gray arrow to make sure that I'm going in the right direction. All right. So we got 7 out of 8 cutscene skips. Wonderful example of the fact that if I had just gotten that one, we'd be much farther ahead. But nothing you can do. All right, so now we get to do tricky a second time. So we had pretty good RNG the first time. We'll see how this goes the second time.
I'll give you a special prize.
Stand here awkwardly while he talks to me. Gotta love those yellow boosts. Let's go for second try. All right. So this is a decent run. Oh. I almost reset the console. That would have been very bad. That's what we do in 100%, but in 90% that is not the case. So I'm really glad I caught myself.
Try the trophy challenge. See you later.
See you later. Okay, so we've done everything in Dino Domain except for the mini game. We don't need to worry about that. But we have unlocked the trophy race, and this is the key to getting into Future Funland to beat the game. We're going to be seeing me do this trophy race a lot. 4 times. A trophy race is every single track we just watched in quick succession, so we have to do them all in a row. So I hope you guys like Dino Domain. This is basically the rest of the run. There are some interesting parts to talk about, but get cozy. So you're going to be hearing this music quite a bit. One of my favorite parts about speedrunning this game is that, yes, you have, you know, splits that you can use while you're trying to PB and all that, but you also have like kind of like a secondary set of splits with your lap times. So every time you finish a lap, you can compare that to what you would prefer to see and that the number you'd prefer to see there. And it's a good way to kind of track how well the split is going. Oh boy. Okie doke. Yep, okay. So terrain in this game is super funky. It behaves really weird. Okay, yep, just like that. Just rock this up there. Sometimes it makes sense how the terrain works, and you can kind of predict where... Wow, that was a jump. You can kind of predict where your car is going to land and what's going to happen. And other times it makes no physical sense whatsoever. We'll see some more of that once we get to the glitch exhibition, which I'm very excited to do. There's some really silly, fun, actual glitches in this game, out-of-bounds stuff, and other things that are just fun, like getting on top of the pyramid in Jungle Falls here. That's a really fun one. I can't wait to show off.
Can I throw in a donation?
Absolutely.
$1 from Archibald. Raise the baguette. Throw a baguette plus for... Whoa, English Helix. This donation is from the French restream, but I need to speak English. Raise the baguette, throw a baguette plush for France.
Go France.
Less than 3.
Shoutouts to Musty. Oh, howdy.
Okay, how come nobody can hit anybody with a baguette? happened during my run, too.
Alrighty, so we're going to go out of bounds right away here. And we're going to do a secret trick. There's a loading zone underneath the finish line on Hot Top Volcano. No one has any idea why it's there, but it allows us to warp out back to the overworld. And what's really special about this is right now, the game still thinks that I am in a trophy race. So, I have completed 3 out of the 4 races that I'm supposed to complete to say, hey, we're done with the trophy race now. Tell him how he did or whatever, you know, play the cutscene. But we need to finish a 4th race. And depending on where we finish that 4th race, we will be awarded the trophy for that place. So I can go to a different world right now and complete the race in a different world and be awarded the trophy for that world, which means we can skip all the races, all the bosses, the mini game. Don't have to do any of it. Super convenient.
Hello, select abracadabra.
So in the optimal any % route, we would not do the car challenge that Taj just took us on. It's probably the hardest race in the game, as you saw. Normally we would just skip that, but we need the extra balloon that he gives us for beating him. We're going to go into Snowball Valley here. And if I pause right now, this is the trophy race screen. It still thinks we're in it, and once I beat this, we're going to get the trophy for Snowflake Mountain. Wow, I grabbed both those bananas, but not the balloon. So yeah, this is a very fun game to play at a high level. It's super fast-paced, and the skill ceiling is pretty much limitless, but it is really ruthless from time to time. That was a good laugh. Stuff like that happens constantly, where you will just phase through a balloon for no apparent reason, and it's not your fault. It's not the developer's fault. Well, I guess it is, but there's not much you can do about it. Thank you for shooting me. I appreciate that. Okay, there's our trophy. Yay. Now, it looks like it's in Dino Domain. That's all the Dino Domain textures, but it's not, which is convenient for us. Now, we need to get some more balloons here because we got some bad RNG. So we're going to go back into Snowball Valley here, and we're going to do Snowball Valley and get the balloon for it. The reason we need to use a safe route for marathons like this is because when we wrong warp, the location that it takes us when we wrong warp is actually RNG. You can go where I went to Dragon Forest in the car. That is the most common one. It's about 80% of the time that'll happen. Or there's another 10% chance that it'll take you to the overworld, where Taj is walking around and stuff. And another 10% chance that it'll take you to Dragon Forest in a plane. And if you go to Dragon Forest with a plane, you can just fly around in the overworld there, where all the tracks are, and go into any of the tracks that you want, which is really good, because if I wasn't collecting these balloons right now, I would not have enough balloons to do that race that we need to get the trophy for Dragon Forest. So if we're playing an optimal any % route, we would only get 11 balloons, and we would literally be relying on the run to give us that 10% chance. If we don't get it, too bad. You just keep trying until you get it. So instead of putting my entire run on a 10% chance, we're going to go ahead and actually make sure that we can finish the run. That would be cool. I love these yellow boosts. It's just amazing. Through the blue balloons. Very cool. So that is an exceptionally specific angle that you need to take to go through those balloons. I mean, look at it. It's like a wall of balloons. How could you possibly miss it? But sure enough, it is very easy to do.
Fossil Canyon.
On to Fossil Canyon. Again. So because any percent is so much of the same thing, and we're really just kind of relying on luck to make sure we can finish the run, this is a really rigorous category to run at the higher level. It's actually really fun to do casually. It's very relaxing. You get a lot of practice on these first 4 tracks. It's great for the lower level player who might still be learning to play the game, but when the entire run is based no longer on your skill level, but on, boy, I sure hope this dice roll, lets me play today, then it kind of stinks. Not much you can do about it. It is really intense, though. Once you do get that 10% chance, okay, it's time to buckle up. We need to perform. Because if you mess up anything else that loses you a bunch of time, then you totally squandered your luck for the day. Okay.
Jungle Falls.
All right, so we're going to do the wrong warp again here. It would be really hype if we could get that Dragon Flame. But I honestly, I only think I've heard of someone getting it once in a marathon. Okay. Again, yeah. So it's like really, really disappointing when you see that car spawn in Dragon Forest there. It's like, well, all right. All right, so next up is Sherbet Island. We're going to do 2 races here and get us to 16 balloons. The first one we're going to do is Whale Bay. And this is our first real hover in this category. Hover is my favorite vehicle. Like I said earlier, every vehicle in the game has very different mechanics. Very different technique involved, and you'll see in Hover I'm kind of snaking back and forth with the joystick, and that actually is much faster than just holding A and steering. So we can still tap the A button. You can tap the A button to go faster in every vehicle, but there's a little bit more finesse to it. It's more of a rhythm thing than it is just a mashing thing. And in the hover car you can actually hop, so you can see, like, as I wait for the whale to come up out of the water, I can hop to get up there. And that's actually a really precise little jump you have to do. It's really easy on the 3rd lap because the AI is around and the AI will force the whale to come up. All right, 47. There's our Sherbet Island trophy. 2 down, 2 more to go. So I'm going to go back to Whale Bay again now, because we still need to get 2 more balloons, and this is going to be one of those 2. This is an awesome example, this track, of how cruel cutscene skips can be. There's a lot of lag at the finish line on this track, so if you get the cutscene skip, you need to get it on that very first pause. Pausing and unpausing is not really an effective option. Because there's so much lag, you have no idea how much time you need to wait before the second start button press. Oh, everyone's in our way. Okay. So we'll see how well I do here. Notoriously one of the toughest ones in the game. Nope. So this time, you'll see, I can skip this cutscene because we've already watched it. and then it's just going to take us back to the overworld. But that lost me 6 seconds. Gone. So no matter how well I did on the track, no matter how well I played, it's not up to me. It's up to that cutscene skip.
Is it all right if I get a donation in?
Absolutely.
We've got a $3 donation from Zojalix, who says, need that Battle Line variant. Let's go, Jax. And with that $3, we have met the Battle Line donation goal for Celeste.
Awesome.
Yeah, get those in. And we do also have, following Diddy Kong Racing, the Super Fancy Pants bid war for pants color. Red is still currently in the lead with $2. And for just $3, you could choose orange, green, or blue. The choice is yours. Get those donations in.
Please donate to blue. It's a good color. It's the color of these blue balloons. All right. Hooray! 16 balloons. That's all we need to close out this run. So this little sign right here on the beach shows we have 2 out of 2. We're going to be coming back to that once we get our last 2 here. These 16 balloons will allow us to go into Windmill Plains and get our Dragon Trophy. But before we do the Dragon Trophy, we need to get our Dino Domain Trophy. In case anyone forgot, there is still a trophy missing right here. So we better get that before we forget. Ancient Lake for the 5th time. Alrighty. Oh, wonderful.
Fossil Canyon.
Just can't get that blue balloon today. Oh well. Good pond jump though. There we go. 1841. All right, that's the kind of lap time I like to see. It's funny. I think there's not much room for perfection in Diddy Kong Racing. It's a lot more about mitigation. You do the same thing every time and just kind of hope it goes well, and then you spend more time trying to fix your mistakes than you do playing perfectly. Oh, okay. Took that one a little too sharp.
Top volcano.
Okay, now, instead of doing the wrong warp again, I need to go ahead and actually finish this race. Because we need to get the Dino Trophy. It's actually really easy to forget that you need to get the Dino Trophy. And if you do, you lose like a ton of time. So, don't forget that. It's really interesting too. At the lower level, this definitely looks like I'm just flying back and forth, and that is essentially what I'm doing. But I know pretty closely where the checkpoint markers are while I'm out of bounds like this, and I'm trying to cut those corners as tightly as I can. There are some people who are really, really good at it and can get insane times on some of these out of bounds tracks. I'm terrible at it, so we just kind of do our best. But you can save a lot of time if you know exactly where those checkpoint markers are. All right, there's our Dino Trophy. One more time, I promise this is the last one. Oh, we dove headfirst into the trophy there. We missed it again. Just gonna do a quick spin out across the finish line there.
Fossil Canyon.
Okay. No big deal. So none of that was on purpose. Things just kind of happen, and you hope that they go well. Alrighty, too fast. Too fast. Unlucky. Unfortunately, not the best Fossil Canyons today, but that's almost to be expected. This is one of the more inconsistent tracks in the game, especially the canyon this year. Getting the right angle when you go into this canyon is so hard, and I'm just kind of guessing when to press the B button to turn more sharply, to grab that blue balloon. Almost never goes right.
Jungle Falls.
There's my 10 bananas, thank you.
May I get another donation in?
Of course.
Yeah, we got $10 from Roma, 45,100, over from the French Restream again, who says, we need more baguette. And that donation went towards Pokemon Sword and Shield for the name for Ninetales as Baguette. Love to see it. Thank you, Roma. Thank you, French Restream.
Nine baguette. Okay, our last wrong warp. All right, that was a wonderfully boring run. All the most common ones. So, since we have 16 balloons, we're allowed to enter Windwall Plains and get our Dragon Trophy here. And we actually have to do a rather tricky out-of-bounds trick on this track. It is probably one of the most notorious out-of-bounds in the game. Speedrunners really struggle with it. It kills runs even at the highest level. It's a tough one, but we'll see how this goes. All right. So, really tough clip there, but the battle's not over. This is one of the hardest out-of-bounds to maneuver. This part that I'm in right now is a tiny little tunnel that I'm very precariously navigating. Oh, we did a backflip. We did 2 backflips. And we're in bounds again. So that's one of the best parts about playing. we barrel roll everywhere, I'm sure, as you've noticed. It's much faster to barrel roll. However, in order to actually execute a barrel roll, you need to hold a direction and double tap the R button. However, if you are not holding a direction, or if the game doesn't think you're holding left or right, it will make you do a front flip or a back flip. All right, we missed it. Oh well. We'll just finish up here. So what happened there is I was trying to switch the direction that I was barrel rolling in, and I pressed R too soon, and it was like, hey, that's a neutral input. How about a backflip? No, thank you.
$1 from Moonblaze Wolf, who says, poor Zojalix needs to get in a baguette throw.
Thank
There
you,
you
friends. Okay. So that is our last trophy. Now we can go like beat the game and stuff. Our sign on the beach here is going to be all filled in, and if I honk at it and bump into it, we're going to play the best cutscene in all of cutscenes, where this lighthouse turns into a rocket ship and flies off into space. Woo! So, this gets us to Future Funland, and we are going to be attempting to execute one of the hardest, most inconsistent tricks in Diddy Kong Racing, which is known as TT Stomp. Essentially, in order to actually get to the final boss, we need to beat the entire game, basically 100% it, which we have not done to this point, obviously. Instead, I'm going to ask my twin brother here for a little bit of help. Okay. Come here. We got work to do. So, I am going to coax my buddy way back over here to this side of the map. I always mess up my angle here. This is always really awkward because I have no idea what's behind me right now. Yeah, okay, we gotta go like this. There we go. Not optimal, but come here. So, like we said earlier, physics in this game are really weird, and we can make them do some very, very strange things, and that's what we're attempting to do here. TT is going to have an existential crisis and start clipping through the wall. And that's exactly what I want him to do. Because I want him to slap me as hard as he can and send me flying into space, which will push us out of bounds and allow us to get to the boss door way before we're supposed to. However, the exact setup for this is really imprecise, and it's very, very just kind of like, boy, I hope this goes well. In terms of marathon safety, this is probably the only thing in the run that's a little bit, how well will this go today? There's two kinds of TT. Oh, there we go. Okay. You know, he's getting into the mood. He's feeling it. Hey, that wasn't it just yet. Just you wait. Oh, here we go.
Hi there.
Hi, TT. Oh, boy. No! So, he did stomp us there. That's exactly what we want to happen. But we had a weird angle, and it didn't exactly do what we needed it to do. So, we're going to do the setup one more time here. So keep in mind, in order to get to this point, we had to do tricky twice, which is about a 50% chance of getting it first try on both occasions. And we had to rely on a 10% chance on something we only get to try 3 times. Three dice rolls to get that 10% chance. And after all of that goes right, we have to do this and hope that it goes as intended. Some of the best runs of any percent will get this 3rd try, 4th try maybe. Most runs get it like 16th try. Come on, buddy. Oh! He's giving us little ones. He's teasing us. The most effective version of this is definitely the stomp. We saw him fly way up in the sky earlier. That's actually like exactly what we want to happen. He's almost guaranteed to just fly back down and land on top of you when he does that. And that almost always sends you flying. If you get really lucky, he'll give you one of those tiny little slaps. And usually that can be strong enough to get you behind the boss door. You can do it. Come on now. So this is pretty standard for TT Stomp. This is usually how this goes. Many a world record has been lost. To this wonderful little trick. Is he up there? Oh. Okay. Oh, TT, my friend. You and I have some talking to do after this run. I'm lucky enough to have Zojalix here, who has run Diddy Kong Racing 80% before, and had a glorious experience with TT Stomp. Oh, yes. You got a good jam to listen to while you sit here and do this, though. So you can't be too mad.
I feel like I needed to repeat the donation that says Zojalix is an elite gamer.
Oh.
Hi there, I'm TT.
Here we go. Hey! Whizpig, here we come. I think the sub 50 is still possible. We'll see. No, nah, maybe not. Time is at the end of this race, so. This is also going to be our last out-of-bounds trick of the run. This is an exceptionally nerve-wracking one. Naturally, we're finally here at the end of the game. All the RNG is gone. It's all about execution now. I need this balloon. And we're out. So what's tough about this race is when we're out of bounds in regular tracks, we get little guides on the side of the screen. And those little guides actually help really tell us, they let us know if we're hitting the right checkpoints. That is not the case in boss races. There are no checkpoints. They take that little crutch away from, you know, the casual player. It's also really bad for the speedrunner because I have no idea whether or not I'm hitting the right checkpoints. So we have kind of like safety setups for like, okay, I know that my little arrow on the mini-map absolutely needs to hit this spot, and if it doesn't, well, I'm really going to be cutting it close then. Okay, time is coming up. Time. So that was Diddy Kong Racing Any Percent. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a really interesting category with a lot of weird stuff going on. But yeah, it's fun to do casually, and there's a safe route to do it, so you don't have to deal with the RNG. We have a glitch exhibition coming up next for Diddy Kong Racing. We got some really fun stuff to look at. So I'm going to go ahead and reset the console. I don't know if we have a transition between them or not, but alrighty. Go ahead and do it. So let's do this first. I'm going to plug in the second controller. It's 2-player time.
Like as you get set up here, the next run does have a bid war that will close at the start of the run, Super Fancy Pants Adventure Pants Color. So get your donations in for that and enjoy this glitch exhibition.
Okay, so we have 2 players in the game right now. Weird stuff happens when you have 2 players in the game. Actually, we just saw us wrong warp a couple times. The game's going to look really weird because they do a lot of stuff to try and keep the lag down. Let's go ahead and do that wrong warp. We're going to do it with 2 players. Oh wow, we ended up in Dragon Forest as expected, but the graphics are really weird and there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Now here's what I was talking about earlier. I can fly anywhere I want. So if we get that Dragon Plane Warp in a run, I can just fly out of bounds and go into the loading zones and do the races that way to get those trophy races. But that's not what we're going to be doing here. I actually want to go to the boss race. So, a long time ago, somebody did exactly what I'm doing now. I noticed something really strange about the Smokey the Dragon race. The door was open the whole time. Please ignore that. So Smokey the Dragon's looking a little sick. He's a little completely red. But you'll see what's happening here with number 2, player 2. The camera is freaking out. It's just going to kind of keep floating off into the distance like that. But as soon as it figures its life out, we're going to see something really interesting. Howdy! There is a random, out-of-bounds golden balloon on this boss race. Again, one of those things, we don't have any idea why it's there. But up until about a year ago, on April Fool's Day actually, I did something really dumb, and I managed to find an out-of-bounds clip for this track. We're out! Hooray! So, in 100%, we can do all kinds of stuff with this. We can beat Smokey much, much faster. This balloon is also a collectible. This is a real golden balloon in the game, and you can actually duplicate it over and over and over and over again, as many times as you want. Bam. So, although duplicating balloons isn't technically allowed, in 100%. I was doing this earlier. You can kind of just fly around and try to fly at the camera. It's really fun. You can duplicate that balloon over and over again. Although it's not allowed 100%, it is a really fun little trick that we get to do. So that's a cool little two-player thing. The next thing I want to do, we're going to go back into adventure mode again. I'm going to go to my completed files. And we're going to go to Snowflake Mountain.
Hello
Select abracadabra. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye for now. See you, buddy. So, car in this game has a lot of really weird properties, as we saw earlier on Fossil Canyon. Lots of fun stuff can happen. Most of them occur, however, when you're drifting. So if you hear that noise, that's me pressing the R button to drift. Whenever I do that, and I do it while trying to drive on terrain, it actually can allow you to climb cliffs really easily. You can do a lot of really weird stuff like that. There's actually a trick right here. This is Icicle Pyramid minigame. We can get into this minigame early by climbing up the side of this cliff. I'm not going to get it, I'll tell you that right now. You can see how crazy that is. So that looked promising. I promise you it's much harder than that. But we can do a lot of crazy stuff with this drifting thing. You can climb all the way up there and clip out of bounds. But there's other places in this overworld that we can do this in. And the old alley-oop. So you can just do that. It's really easy. You can just drift up the side of this. Okay, bye. I didn't actually know about that until relatively recently, but it's a really fun one. And then we're going to go into the boss race here. This is one of our next fun glitches. It is actually absurdly easy to get out of bounds here. It's one of the only places in the game you can get out of bounds in the hovercraft in. But I'm going to go up here onto this back wall. I'm going to attempt to get up on this cliff. It can be a little bit tricky. But we will get it. Eventually. Restart the race here. Don't want him to beat us. We have to sit there and watch a cutscene. There we go. Now we're out of bounds. So I can do really crazy stuff with this. Like fly into this tunnel and fall forever. You can't finish the race this way, but you can make it look like you're flying the hovercraft. So that's pretty fun. But there's one more thing I want to show here. There's a really fun lighting glitch. When you enter the tunnel, it changes the lighting on the map. Hello? There's a good one. Okay. Alright, let's get this nice little lighting glitch. This is a fun one. Oh no! I thought that wall was invisible. Apparently not. There we go. Oh. Now we're tripping. So when I actually go back to the finish line here, when I void out, the whole world will be dark. Spooky snow time. Ah. That's about it. All right, so we got another one here we're going to show off. This one might take me a couple tries, but it is one of the weirdest glitches in the game. We can glitch the loop on this track and make us do some really crazy stuff. Whee! Okay, that was a tiny one. This one can really go haywire. You can make the loop shoot you up onto the track that it kind of loops around on. There have been times where I've gotten it to shoot me back towards this finish line. I went all the way through this tunnel, completely upside down and like unable to do anything about it. Unfortunately, we can't use this for any speed run. There is a checkpoint inside the tunnel after the loop that we have to hit. So even if we could use this loop to get on top of the bridge up there much earlier than intended, we can't do it, unfortunately. So I'll give this a few more tries. And then I have one more thing after this that we'll do that's very fun. All right. So last thing I want to show off is Jungle Falls. So everyone knows you can play in the plane on this track, and you can go through the top part of the little pyramid tunnel thing up there. But you can't get up there in hover or in car. Well, I'm about to prove that wrong. Yeehaw! Okay, here we are. So yeah, that's one really fun way to get up here. If any run I have this like completely dies on this track, I usually will just fling myself up there for fun, because it is really fun to watch. Do this one more time just for kicks. Yay! This terrain does not like the car, however. It's almost impossible to drive on it. So anyway, those are some fun glitches in DKR. There are tons more to explore, most of them useless, but very fun to watch. There's a bunch of streamers for this game, a bunch of speedrunners that are all wonderful to watch, and they oftentimes will show these things off to their stream just for fun. And the community in general is really, really awesome. They do an incredible job teaching new players tricks and mechanics and technique, and showing them what they're doing wrong, what they could do better. And improving this game is really satisfying. So if you ever want to give it a shot yourself, you can actually get a Japanese cartridge of the game for about $5 on eBay. It's a dirt cheap game. So it's a great speed game. So go ahead and pick yourself up a copy if you get the chance. Thank you, Midwinter Speed Sprinter, so much. It's been a blast. I'm glad to show Diddy Kong Racing off. And yeah, thanks everyone.
It was great having you, man. All right, and we're going to swap right over into the next run, which means I better go and get on commentary. Hold on.